applications of bacon today in the sartorial kitchen. I'm starting off with my candied bacon wrapped weenies. Then I'm doing some bacon wrapped pretzel rods, a blue cheese bacon dip for a vegetable crudité, a bacon jam for a charcuterie, and a classic pasta carbonara. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me? Welcome back, everybody. Yes, it is all about bacon today, and we're starting off with some fun, easy, and delicious bacon appetizers. It's my bacon wrapped weenies, candied bacon, and these are some candied bacon pretzel rods. But before I throw these in the oven, let me show you how I put them together. First, I start by cutting my bacon into 1.5-inch pieces. Then I wrap it around a cocktail weenie, stick it with a toothpick, and dip it in a mixture of brown sugar and pepper, repeating the process until I have an entire tray full ready for the oven. Now for the pretzel rods, I add garlic and onion powder to our brown sugar mixture. Then I take a nice strip of bacon and wrap it around the pretzel rod. Give it a generous coating of honey Dijon and dip it in that brown sugar mixture. Again, repeating the process until I have an entire tray full ready for the oven. I got the oven preheated to 375. These are going to bake for about 18 to 20 minutes, just until that bacon is nice and crisp and the fat has rendered down. I'm going to throw these in now, and then we will move on to our next dish. Alright guys, we are back. All those cooked down in the oven here. I've got a little skillet here with some butter and some olive oil. I'm throwing in a medium diced yellow onion. Give that a little stir. I want this to get nice and caramelized. Again, seasoning here, a little salt and a little pepper. So this is a bacon jam we're making. Doesn't that sound amazing? And of course, for that, we are going to need some bacon. So I sweat these onions down just for a few minutes until they start to get nice and translucent, and then we can throw in our bacon. So this is bacon from the salad bar aisle, cured bacon, so it's already cooked. Not that fake red plastic stuff, but actual real bacon. And we're gonna throw in about 2 cups here, and as much of that as I can get. And stir that in. So this bacon's already cooked, but it does have some fat in it, and it's gonna release. That's going to meld with the oil and the butter that we've already got in here. And just till it gets nice and browned, we're going to throw in some other goodies and turn it into a nice little jam. Okay, our bacon and onions is continuing to cook down nicely. I've also got about a 1/2 cup of bacon here that I've rendered down. We're going to be making a little kind of blue cheese bacon vegetable dip. So to that bacon, I'm adding a block of softened cream cheese. You want to make sure it's softened so it mixes in well. To that, a 1/4 cup of sour cream. And we're going to season this baby up with a little salt and a little pepper. More of our garlic and onion. About a 1/2 teaspoon each. And then of course it can't be bacon blue cheese without blue cheese. You use any kind of blue cheese you like. I'm just doing kind of a mild here, and I'm only going to use about half the container, I think. And then we're gonna come in here and give this a little whisk. And stir this all together. If you have a hand mixer, you can do that as well. But I kind of like the blue cheese pieces to be a little chunky. It gives it a little bit of texture here. And break it up some if you like, but I think that's pretty good. Easy peasy. Now let's finish up our jam. Alright guys, how gorgeous does that look? Nice and reduced. Just a few things here. Some of my jarred garlic, about a tablespoon. And I like to get some of that oil too, because that's what the flavor is. Minced garlic does not take long to cook, so I always wait till the very end to add it, because otherwise it will burn. And just saute that, not even for a minute. And come in here with a little cayenne for a touch of heat. Just a light dusting to give it some edge. And then our brown sugar. About a half cup, which I think is going to be pretty much the rest of my container here. I'll stir that in, let that sugar kind of start to cook down. You can already see this is starting to kind of jam up nicely. Just 2 more ingredients. About a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Real maple syrup, not that pancake syrup. And about a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. And then we can turn this down to a low, almost simmer. Just until that sugar and that cider cooks down. This will become nice and thick and syrupy, and we'll take it off the heat and move it to another container. Okay. These babies look like they're ready to come out. Oh, guys, gorgeous. Nice and rendered and crisp. You can see all that sugar has caramelized beautifully. And the same with our pretzel sticks here. We're just going to set those aside. Our jam is just about ready to come off the heat. And I'll show you how I plate up these appetizers. Okay, so the weenies and the pretzel sticks I just set out on some plates here. Then I got a smaller bowl for the blue cheese bacon dip. So this, great on crackers, but it's also great for a little crudité. So I just got some chopped veggies here. You can totally cut these up yourselves, but I figured it's just us. And I like peppers, I like carrots, celery's kind of classic. You could do cucumber. Once my tomatoes come in, I love like the little cherry tomatoes. But just some nice colorful veggie pieces. And then you've got a nice little platter for that. All right, turn this baby off. And you can see it's become nice and thick and syrupy. And then I'm just going to carefully transfer it to a little glass bowl here. Beautiful. Okay, there are 3 of our apps. Now the bacon jam, I love this on waffles, French toast, pancakes. It makes a great condiment for burgers. But as far as appetizers go, we're going to use it as a centerpiece to a quick little charcuterie I'm going to throw together. So I just got a little kit here with some cheese and some different salamis in it, just to keep it simple. Okay, so the piece de resistance is the bacon jam that's going to go in the middle. And then we'll kind of build around that. So I've got my cheeses here. We'll just kind of lay these out. You can have fun with it and kind of do some different designs, patterns. Just make it look pretty. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now the pepperoni I'm just having a little fun with here. And then just kind of fan it inward. And then I take and I roll it up. And then you've got like a little bit of rose, you can kind of lay it down, let it fan out. Same with this one here, just kind of roll it up. Just kind of let it kind of do its thing there. Now for our other cheese, kind of fill in here. It's kind of like painting with food. Nice. And our other cheese here. I think I'll move in front. And now the salami. This one I think I'm going to do an offset kind of stack. Stack it up kind of like a little tree. And I'm going to move our other pepperoni back there. So I'll have pepperoni in back. And we'll have salami in front. And then last but not least, the crackers. And get a nice table cracker or dinner wafer, and you can just take a few here and kind of lay them out along the board. And then here on the other side of the bowl. And you can get different kinds of crackers if you like. You can even do fruit if you've got some grapes or some figs or something like that. It's good for the negative space, but there is just a basic charcuterie. Alright, now let's come in here and give everything a little taste. I'll start with my weenies here, and they'll look great, nice and caramelized. That fat has rendered down beautifully. So good. Get the nice char on the weenies, the bacon, just a touch of sweetness from the brown sugar, perfect amount of pepper just to cut through the richness of everything. And then I want to try one of these rods here. Guys. So the pretzel gets a little soft. from the fat of the bacon, the honey mustard. Then you have the crisp of the bacon. And what's great about the pretzel rods, they have like the perfect amount of salt. Get the sweetness from the brown sugar, the savory notes of the garlic, the onion, of course the Dijon. So a little spoon for this. I think I'll get a cracker, a little slice of cheese here, and then just spoon some of that jam on top. And look at that glisten. It's sweet. It's acidic. From the apple cider vinegar, you get this savory, salty notes of the bacon, the onion, and everything. Just nice and sweet and rich and savory. So many flavors. And our little veggie dip here. And you can just take and dip that right in. It's great with the nice crisp vegetable because it gives it more texture. That the cream cheese, the sour cream, but then you get that funkiness of the blue cheese, a little of fat from that rendered bacon. This adds a nice little luscious note. The onion and the garlic, of course. I'm gonna come in here and get a little more. Pardon me for double dipping. Yes. So here is entertaining with bacon. I have one more dish to show you, and that is a classic pasta dish. Alright guys, last but not least, a classic pasta carbonara. One of my favorite pasta dishes ever. So I'm using linguine for this. Similar to a fettuccine, but not quite as thick. And do not break the pasta. That will soften shortly and fall into our water, which I have salted generously. I've also got some pancetta rendering down here. Now guanciale is probably the best pork for a carbonara, but it's hard to come by. Pancetta is just fine. You can even use bacon if you want. However, make sure it isn't anything that's like hickory smoked, applewood smoked, because that's going to flavor the carbonara in a way that you're probably not going to like. And the pancetta is a nice neutral kind of pork flavor, and it has a nice fat content to it, which is going to help make our sauce nice and luscious. So I'm just letting that render down. Now for the base of the carbonara, we need some egg yolks. So I'm carefully cracking my egg and prying it open and separating out that yolk. You can use the white, but it's going to be a much more luscious texture if we just use the yolk. And then again with our other egg here. Just careful to not get as much of that white. If you get a little, it's okay. I'm just trying to keep the bulk of it out. Beautiful. So to these yolks, a generous amount of pecorino romano here, about a cup. I want this to be nice and pasty. And you can use any kind of grated cheese you like. And then we're just gonna kind of mash that together. You can always add a little more if you like. That's good. And just stir that in. Yeah, until it's nice and thick and pasty. And I'm going to give it a little fresh cracked black pepper. And then we'll set that. Guys, as you can see, that pancetta has rendered down nicely and released all that lovely fat. So I'm going to take that off the heat and let it cool down. We don't want to add it to the eggs while it's hot like that, or we'll scramble them. And we're not trying to scramble our eggs, but turn them into a luscious sauce. And while I'm at it, I'm going to steal a couple cups of my pasta water. As you can see, it's nice and starchy, which is going to help us make a nice thick luscious sauce. We're going to set that aside, and once the pancetta cools, we can start setting up our sauce. Okay, this pasta has been boiling away. If you're not sure whether it's done or not, you can take out a piece and give it a little taste. Good. So it has a bit of chew to it, so maybe another minute or two. I want it to have some chew because we're going to finish cooking it in the sauce. So I don't want it to be too done, but I think we're ready to put our sauce together. So our pancetta has cooled down nicely. It's lukewarm now, it's not bubbling hot. We're just going to throw that into our eggs. And I want all of that fat, because this is going to help us have a really nice, unctuous, creamy sauce. And first, I'm going to stir in the pancetta to the eggs. And then that bacon fat's just going to kind of loosen up that egg mixture a little bit. Beautiful. Then we can come in with a little bit of our pasta water. About a 1/4 cup. And just stir that in until it loosens up and just gets nice and creamy and thin. Beautiful. I think that looks pretty good. And then we'll save the rest of that pasta water in case we need it once we throw this back into the pasta. So that looks pretty good. Now it's time to drain the pasta. I'm going to turn that off the heat. We'll lose this guy for a second. And then I've got my strainer right there. And I just come over and dump that out. Beautiful. Nice little pasta facial. Dump that back into the pan. And then on my other burner here, so it's not as hot, we dump in our egg mixture. Make sure we get all that pancetta out of here, because that's the good stuff. Then I'm going to come in here real quick and start stirring this together. So all the pasta gets coated in that loveliness. Okay, and you can see this one come together nicely enough. It starts to clump up on you like that. You can add some more pasta water. That's why we save that. It's better to have it and not need it than not have it at all. And then continue to stir that just until it thins out. And I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this. I think we can handle it. Oh yeah, look at that beautiful creamy pasta. And I think we are ready to plate. Alright, so we're just going to take a nice scoop of this and plop it right into our bowl. If you want to get fancy, you can kind of do the little scoop and twirl, but it's just us, so I think we'll be okay. Sprinkle on some more of our cheese. You can never have enough cheese. And a tinge more of our crushed pepper. And I think all we're missing now is a fork. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am ready to dig in. How great does that look? I'm just going to come in here. This little twirl. You gotta catch pasta when it's fresh. As soon as it comes off the heat, that's when it's best. Still nice and toothsome. Has a little bit of a chew to it. Al dente, as they call it. Just the right amount of salt in the water. That's key to a really good pasta. Our egg sauce is nice and luscious and creamy and just melts in the mouth. Then you bite into those little pieces of pancetta. The fat just melts in your mouth, sings. Nice little heat from the pepper. Of course, the cheese. Well, I'm going to finish up here, guys, but I thank you for joining me as always. Please like and subscribe. Hit me up in the comment section. And until next time, bon appetit.